Hello and welcome to The Agenda on Politics Social. I am Graham Hughes and I'm joined as always on this particular show by Phil Moorhouse. How you doing, Phil?
I'm all right, thank you.
Another stance.
Another thing.
Another thing. A different bias. If you'd like to join Phil's channel just to find out a different bias, his name is in the link on the actual title of this video, which is kind of cool. Phil, this week I thought I would talk about so Labour's had some wins this week, some quite surprising wins, and nobody knows. So, first of all, interest rates have been cut again.
As a result of inflation being much lower and a few other things, yeah. That was expected.
Looks like inflation's going to go down to 2% next year, according to the latest forecasts. They're saying that they will be able to bring down the interest rates further. Also, we've had this huge effort to make life safer for women and girls through Jess Phillips and others. That's been attacked by the right, who have said, yes. Why are you looking at men who are committing all these crimes? Why didn't you look at immigrants instead?
My favourite one, I did a meme of it actually. My favourite one was some tit on Steve Miller, it was, and saying teachers should not be, 1, teaching kids to brush their teeth, 2, teaching kids to use the toilet, 3, teaching lads to respect girls. To which I felt, as a teacher, I had to reply, if you have to come up with a list of things that teachers shouldn't do and it all begins with teaching, you might not actually know what a teacher is.
Indeed. Well, we'll get into this in a moment, but there's been some other wins for Labour this week in that they've actually defended trans people. Like we had Wes Streeting standing up in Parliament this week, actually standing up saying that no, they're not going to stop the puberty blockers trial, which they were calling for on the other side. Yeah. I thought that was quite remarkable, considering it seems to be a bit of an about face. Have they looked at the polls, Phil?
No.
Have you had words?
Well, I haven't had words. No, they don't listen to me. But I also don't think it's inconsistent with them. Like I keep saying, like the Labour government is transphobic. Its policies are clearly transphobic. But they themselves, they're not like Reform UK and Conservatives who at least publicly don't believe trans people even exist, right? They're like pixies or something. Whereas Labour are going, trans people exist. And for them, the argument, and I have said, I think it's strategic. I don't think this is what most of them, obviously there are bound to be some transphobes in Labour, of course there are. But most of them are not themselves personally transphobic. They just think they're doing it strategically. But in terms of what they've tried to present is not that trans people don't exist, but simply about the balance of how you manage trans and cis women. It just comes out of fucking toilets, doesn't it? It's just toilets. And the problem is, like Bridget Phillipson as well, who's the Equalities Minister, she's been getting in the neck from the Telegraph and maybe the Daily Mail, I can't remember, some other boob. Because she's going, hang on a minute, because here's the thing, right? From the right wing's point of view, they're trying to kick trans women out of toilets. And you think, well, okay, so who's allowed to go to a woman's toilet, right? Yeah. From their point of view, who is allowed? What's your perception? Who do you think they are saying can go into women's toilets?
Sorry, me?
I'm asking you a serious question.
Oh, sorry.
What is your perception of the right wing's view as to who is allowed in women's toilets?
Women who look traditionally feminine in a Western beauty standard and are white.
Okay, so straight away, few things that are not allowed then. So that means a woman is not allowed to take her infant son into like the women's changing rooms for a swimming pool is one thing Bridget Phillipson's saying. Yep. Right. But the Daily Telegraph saying, well, no, that's ridiculous. I mean, no reasonable person would say that. So, well, but you are saying that because then why can't a trans woman go into the toilets? Yeah. So do you know what I mean? It's completely ridiculous. And then there's another thing she said. She said, okay, if we're going to apply this purist attitude to it, then, so you and I will both know I don't know whether you still do it. When I was young, went on the lash quite a few times. So I was no stranger to propping up a bar of a Friday or Saturday evening at one time in my youth. And when you get, it's get quite late, it's not uncommon in a pub or club to have women use the men's toilets because we're all just pissing at the wall and the cubicles are free and the women's toilets have got a massive queue, right?
Yeah. Architectural sexism.
And the other thing that she was apparently Bridget Phillipson's been saying, she hasn't used that example, but she's used the example of pregnant women using the men's at like a theatre or something to avoid, because like in a theatre, you have an intermission, everyone dashes off to the bogs. well, then there's a queue at the women's. If you're pregnant, you can't really just hold on to it. So you get, well, I'll go to the men's. And no one has a problem with that. But if you're going to have this purist attitude to toilets, then all of a sudden you've got to kick the pregnant woman out. You've got to kick the woman with the infant son out. You've got to kick the woman who's going to piss in her pint glass if she cannot get into a toilet right now.
But it says on the front cover of the Telegraph today, Phillipson blocks safe spaces for women. And here's a question for you. Yeah, when did a public toilet become a safe space?
Exactly.
For
I mean, this
a woman?
is the thing.
Like, if it was directing a drama in the 19th, like a kitchen sink drama, a gritty kitchen sink drama that starts with a suicide and goes down from there. And I had to have a scene where there was a woman who was having a breakdown or something. And like, if I wanted to make it really horrible for her, I'd make it in the toilet. If I wanted to make it somewhere where, you know, she can get help, I'd make it happen in a hospital. I don't understand this idea of safe space being a toilet, a public toilet of all places.
Yeah, they try and claim.
Maybe your home, your house, in your house, right? That's fine. Your house, you can ban all the trans people you like from using your toilet. It's your toilet.
Except, of course,
that in the home, safe space.
In the home, there's no such thing as a gender. There's no such thing as a gender-specific toilet.
Well, Ozzy Osbourne did have a urinal because his wife was fed up with him pissing all over the seat.
So she wanted to piss all over the floor instead, and all over his own trousers. Because I have to say, the reason I don't really use urinals these days, because that's what happens. There's a certain splashback element to it, particularly when you're desperate. But that's why men's toilets look like the actually someone's gone in with a mop soaked in piss and just rinsed it all over the floor.
Yeah. But
anyway.
I've got to say, Phil, when I used to clean toilets for a living, I prefer cleaning the gents because that was just a mop. That was fine. The ladies' toilets, there was tissues and used tampons and used sanitary towels on the floor. And it was, there was a lot more mess to clear up. I needed a dustpan and brush. I didn't just need a mop. Okay. So men are less messy.
No, it is. I mean, it is. Labour should just have, from the start, have said, because the thing is as well, the Telegraph are trying to say that Labour are now ignoring the ruling. It's like, no, they're not. And I remember, I need to look up the exact wording, but I remember when the judgment was passed down by the Supreme Court, the head of that Supreme Court, I've forgotten his name, is it Reid or something? He actually specifically said, don't take this to the fucking nth degree, you twats, right? Or words to that effect. I forget exactly what he said. But he was basically saying, you know, because you could sort of see that people were going to take this too far, and they have. And Labour sort of like, and they should have just come out and said, look, for some of these things, yes, of course, right? You know, some of these pregnancy-related things, trans women don't need that, right? But some of these other things clearly should apply to trans women. And they should have just said, we're just going to change a few words in the act. And it would have, you know, but what they did instead is said, oh, thank you very much, judges. This has brought clarity to it, but it hasn't brought clarity.
It's made
because from these point of view, sometimes you have gender neutral toilets anyway, but let's say you've got men's and women's, and that's all you've got, men's and women's toilets. Where do trans men go? Because they're not arguing that they should go into the women's, are they?
No. But
so
that would be necessitated if you said your sex that was allocated at birth is the toilet that you have to use the rest of your life.
Yeah, but would you believe them?
You have big, burly trans men with beards.
Exactly. Here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. Ground. So they're trying to claim that actually these trans women are just like predatory men slapping a wig on and putting some lipstick on the face like Mr. Bean that time and going in. But here's the thing I would say, right? A trans man can look like me. So if I were a predatory male, what's to stop me going? Well, first of all, there's nothing to stop me going to women's toilets anyway, unless there's a bloody security guard outside. But what is to stop me going to women's toilets and telling them? I'd be lying, but who's got a fucking ultrasound on them to check, right? So what if I go in and say, sorry, I've got to use the women's because I was born a woman and I'm a now trans man? Yeah, it's the law. So you're actually making it easier for predatory men to go. They don't even need the wig.
Yeah, and you're making it more shit for women who don't look traditionally feminine in the Western beauty standard mould.
Or what if they do?
Because they're going to be accused of not being a cisgender woman and therefore not being able to use the toilet. Exactly. And a lot of the people who are calling for this the most are the clockiest motherfuckers ever. Yeah. They're going to get more shit. They're just making life harder for themselves.
I was about to say, I don't like to ever sort of bring people's looks in because, you know, I've no business doing that myself. But yeah, I mean, some of the women, that have actually been the biggest cheerleaders for this change are going to be the ones who are going to be
Yes.
challenged themselves going into the bogs.
Yeah.
Maids to go into the men's toilets. It's serving bloody well right.
Yeah. So Labour's had a few wins this week, but no one knows.
No one knows.
Jesus.
They've got the Employment Rights Bill finally passed as well.
Yes.
That's now the Employment Rights Act, just 2025. I'm just going to double check it. I'm pretty sure.
Has it got royal assent yet?
Now. I'm just going to double check, but I'm pretty. Yes, it has.
Oh, so royal assent.
It is the Employment Rights Act 2025.
Woo! Confetti! It's real! Yay! Natural thing.
Tories still tried to stop it, mind you, but a few of them obviously were stuck in the box.
Do you know the only bit of that was like was about full rights on day one, which I thought was a bit like, because I don't know if you've ever employed anyone, Phil, but like you employ someone and they just can't do the job, and then you're stuck with them.
Well, I said I'm absolutely fine with the 6-month thing.
Yeah,
it's just the fact that it was day one in the manifesto.
Yeah.
If they'd have said from the start 6 months, it wouldn't have been an issue.
They shouldn't have put that in the manifesto. I think that was a bit of a daft thing.
Well, it was their biggest thing. It's like biggest, the Employment Rights Bill was their
the bill in general. There's a lot of good stuff in there, along with the Renters' Rights Bill as well, which has already got royal assent and that's kicking in next April. Is it? When does this actually kick in? Do you know, Phil?
So straight away. In part of it is repealing the Tories' anti-strike laws of the last few years. So that's gone now immediately. And then other things come online. So some things come online from April, some things from next autumn, and then the rest of it comes online from in spring. So by April 2027, it will all be in law.
Yeah.
I'll just have a look because they did produce a document. Let's have a look here. Implementing the employment. So there's a roadmap where, so it sort of tells you what. Oh no, it's not in here. What?
MZ says, just popped in. Part of my job years ago was to clean toilets. Yeah, it was part of my job. It wasn't my full job. I was working at Fab Cafe and I was employed as a barman, but also as a cleaner.
So I'm just looking here. Phasing consultation. I suppose some things could change. So it says some of the things coming in fairly quickly. There's lots of little fiddly bits actually. It's not really interesting to go through, but some things from spring, some things from next autumn, and then some things from the spring after.
Yeah,
and then it's in.
But this is really good stuff from Labour, and just
what they should be doing is every minister should take a turn. Like I reckon every cabinet minister should do this twice a year, and every junior minister once every 2 years, because you've got enough ministers. And then so that every week there's a minister that's going around the country with their shirt over their head like they've just scored a goal in the World Cup final, right? Boasting about what they've been doing, because they need to be more boastful.
Yes.
They should be going round boasting about this.
Yeah.
That Nigel Farage tried to stop it. Don't give him the power to be able to stop it next time. The Tories tried to stop it. But we've got it through.
I'm happy to have a pop at Labour, but the things that people complain about now, like there was a big thing about them not getting rid of the 2-child cap, right? So that was going on for ages, rumbling on for the first sort of 18 months of Labour being, not even 18 months, 14 months of Labour being in government.
Yeah, they've got to come up with something else now.
But like that finally went through with the new budget, and it was like, great, they got rid of it. But so many people on the left were just like, oh, it's too late now. And I'm like, well, what did you expect? Did you expect like on day one of the Labour government
said you would not get it? They were
gonna wave the magic wand and just go, right, we're gonna get rid of this thing that we don't want, or were they going to be a cautious approach? And like I understand that people are impatient. I'm impatient myself. I get it, but at the same time, I want them to do it right when they do it. And this isn't making excuses for Labour's other problems, issues that they're having. But on that particular one, I think, well, look. If you didn't have the money or you didn't think you had the money last year, that's fair enough. But once you had the money, you did it straight away.
And also, as I say, they specifically promised in the campaign that they wouldn't be doing it in the first budget. They specifically promised that. And also when they say things like it's too late, no, it's not too late. The people who are going to get this money don't think it's too late.
Yeah.
This is just
Andrew,
people coming up with some bollocks excuse to help the Tories come back into power again.
Andrew, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. I, male, used to use the women's toilet to change my baby daughter's nappy because they were the only room I had a baby change platform.
Yeah, you don't get change.
Never had the complaint back then. In fact, I got praise. Well, I had a huge problem when Kat's youngest was when she was like 5-6 years old, and it was me and her out in town in Durham. Because what do we do? She needs the toilet. And I'm like, well, I can't. I'm a stepdad. I'm not a dad.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to take her into the men's. And because of all this anti-trans bullshit, I didn't think I could go into the women's either. So we always used to walk to the Cafe Nero that had a unisex disabled toilet, and that's the one that she would use when we were out. But there were a couple of times where it was like she really needed the toilet, and she's in tears because she needs the toilet. I'm going to walk halfway across fucking town to find this unisex toilet because of
I would just take her into the
people
men's,
who are saying, you've got to protect women and girls. What about her? She's a girl. Why aren't you protecting her rights and her dignity? Why are you making a little girl cry? I just, the stupidity of it.
It is stupid.
Is just beyond me. I mean, and then talking about stupidity, Kemi Badenoch yesterday saying it's the immigrants that are abusing women and children.
We know it's not.
But she's also an immigrant. Like, fuck. I mean, she's an anchor baby.
Yeah, she is literally.
She
was born here to get that, but she was instantly sent to Nigeria to have her entire childhood.
Posh boarding school. Yeah. Painful. But so there's been some wins, some losses as well. We've had this, the deal with America's been frozen.
I won't worry about that. That's just him trying to anchor for more stuff. It's only a loss if we give him what he wants without getting something in return, at least. Like the food standard's non-negotiable.
Really
we cannot
flimsy.
Sorry?
Like the deals that we're having, they usually go into like hundreds or thousands of pages. I mean, the document we had was like, what was it, like 5? Oh. Was it 5 pages?
What do you expect? It's like it's something negotiated with Donald Trump in a matter of like 2.5 weeks. I mean, like, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it's just a political. Like our trade with America is worse than it was. Like and any trade and every time we get a trade deal with Trump, it will put us on worse trading terms than we had. It's just not as bad as it would otherwise be if we had none. But yeah, the only way to improve trade is with other more stable partners. So that's mostly the EU in our case. So that's why the food, who's asking us to lower food standards, that's a non-starter. The digital services tax, he could probably get us from something like that, but my argument with that is it's worthless anyway. It will get a lot of shit from some people if we back down on it, because it's like, oh, you're letting the wealthiest corporations on earth get away with some taxes. Yeah, we are, but we're not taxing them that much in the first place. It's worth fuck all. In fact, last year we made 800 million, not billion, 800 million pounds from it, and that was more than we thought we would get. We only thought we were going to get 500 million. So it's not worth very much. But I would suggest we don't give it to Trump just because he's come back for more, because then he'll come back for more again. Say to him, yeah, we can do this for you, but you have to give us something that's worth the same. Yeah. That way, not only do you tell Trump that we will give him stuff, but he has to give in return.
Yeah.
He's not going to get out just because he comes demanding. But also, Labour could then come back to the country and say, OK, we're going to reduce this, but we're getting this instead. And that will compensate for the taxes lost, because we'll just get the taxes somewhere else instead.
Yeah, fair enough. So another change this week is to do with comms, which we like to talk about on this channel. And Chris C's got a question for you, Phil. What are your thoughts on Labour's comms chief scrapping the daily afternoon press briefings to journalists?
It's a waste of time anyway. I've two thoughts about it. It's not quite what we've been calling for, but it is a step in the right direction, because it sounds like it will be a press conference-y type thing. I just wish they would judge it up a bit more. But the other thing is, the journalists moaning about it, they're moaning not because, right, because I made this point on my stream earlier. They're sort of, oh, avoid scrutiny. No, it doesn't, right? They're complaining because they don't publish the briefing.
Yeah.
They don't publish, you don't see it. Like someone from the Mirror's complaining about it. So I go into the Mirror, I Google the Mirror, Downing Street press briefing, nothing comes up, right? So they're going in there to ask their questions. They don't then repeat back. They don't report back on what was said. So what's the point of having it a closed shop? They're just worried about the competition. Because they're opening it up to others is the idea. Someone told me they're going to televise it as well. So that implies that it could be broadcast live or that, people could, there's content creators that they want to include could maybe watch it live and put their questions in through some means, right?
Yeah.
But either way, they're expanding it out, and that's what those journalists don't like. But they have to face reality. The mainstream media, even if you add press and broadcasters together, the mainstream ones, they're occupying a smaller and smaller section of the news ecosystem. And what they're railing against is that they're losing their privileged access, but they shouldn't have privileged access.
Yeah.
I would have more sympathy if they were at least reporting on the briefings, but they're not. And why are they not reporting on the briefings? Because they're boring. Right? They're boring. So that's what. So I think it's a step in the right direction. I don't think it's not what I have been calling for them to do, but it is a step towards it. It's opening it out to more people. Because you know what? There are people who have YouTube. I wouldn't do it, but there are people who have YouTube channels who, if they could even just watch the briefing live and ideally get to ask the odd question, they will do a video on it every single day. They will do a video on the briefings every single day. But these mainstream politicians, these journalists that go along, they've got their accreditation. They don't report on it. They just go along and ask some questions. And they only, maybe one answer they report on if they think they can write something interesting. So if they don't want to report on the briefings, why should they have exclusive access to it?
Yeah. Yeah.
What I've got to say.
I think they should do it like a game show. They should just come on.
They should certainly make it more exciting.
Sparkly jacket, and say, and here's Hilda from Wolverhampton, and she comes over and says, "How have we helped you this week?" "Oh, well, you put up the minimum wage and you got rid of the 2-child benefit cap, and now I can afford to become a millionaire." And you're like, "Yay!" And then there's confetti.
No, I don't.
I'm obsessed with confetti.
But
confetti cannon.
They should certainly make it a bit more interesting.
T-shirts into the audience with like Labour.
The thing is, as well, some of these content creators might ask more interesting questions as well.
Yes, there was a guy the other day in the press conference who was like Jeff, and it was like from Jeff Read to the News, and that was his name. It was his YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Which was like, okay, and he was there. He got accreditation. Elle said, "I worked in support. I ended a relationship with a work colleague. Manager puts us on opposite shifts. Reason, feared we'll be shagging on resident's bed, which is more we're more disciplined than that." Oh my god. Andy, my question: if George Michael and Andrew Ridgeley had been paramedics, would they have ridden in a wambulance?
That's very good.
You're looking forward to your Christmas cracker jokes, Phil?
Sarah's done them. She's made the Christmas crackers this year, so I'm at the mercy of her jokes.
Excellent. Everyone's just telling jokes in the chat now. Yeah. So the other thing,
there was a good one. Do you see the good one? There was several Christmas puns and stuff at PMQs this week, but Starmer actually had a quality gag. His gag writer earned their crust this week.
About
the
mysterious men from the east.
So it says his little message to Farage, who was getting pissed in the bar. He said he was boycotting PMQs. He was actually getting pissed in the bar. And he said, if mysterious men from the east come bearing gifts, next time report it to the police.
Yeah.
Good one.
Did you see Andrea Jenkins on one of the breakfast shows?
I saw
Zach
of
Polanski?
her. I noticed she'd
and he
done
was
a
just
thing.
like, "You're all a bunch of criminals." And she's going, "You got no proof, you got no evidence." And you know what, Nathan Gill? "Oh yeah, that's just a rotten egg, one bad apple." And he's like, "Okay, well, what about the 9 other people who've also been charged?" And she's like, "Oh, but like, go on."
I mean, they've all got criminals. Like you, I mean, we had a Labour MP who punched a fella, for Christ's sake. But
some people are annoying, Phil.
They
was it John Prescott? 2 jabs, Prescott.
No, he was assaulted. To be fair, he wasn't having someone give him a lip. He was actually assaulted. One thing you don't do is from a hidden position out of their line of sight, deliver a blow to the left side of a boxer's head. This is something that Jake Paul's going to be learning quite soon. But so you have a smattering. You don't sort of blame a party for 1 or 2 individuals, but they just have so many.
Yeah.
And like at the moment, Kent County Council are doing it again, aren't they? Because a Labour MP requested freedom of information request because they're claiming they've saved like 40 million quid. The previous Conservative councillor said, no, all the savings you're talking about, we'd already earmarked. So the fact that they're not coming online until you're in power doesn't mean you made those savings, right? We'd already put them in officially, past them. So Reform UK insist that they've made £40 million worth of savings. So this Labour MP basically put in a freedom of information request that says, can we see you're working? And they've gone, no. Yeah. You'll just have to trust us.
Yeah. Miss Paula Thomas, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Putin is saying the West is making Russia the enemy. You did that all on your own, dearie. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're standing up in front of a map of Russia with a big chunk of Ukraine added to the outline of Russia today, blaming the West for a war that apparently Ukraine started.
Yeah.
Ukraine started by invading itself. You know, why are you hitting
stop punching yourself?
Why are you hitting yourself? Why are you punching yourself? Fucking hell. But yeah, and we've got some agreements
here. It was praising Trump, of course.
Yes.
Praising. Republicans, proper Republicans should be feeling very, very uncomfortable right now.
There aren't any.
Literally, these people grew up during the Cold War, and now they're listening to an expansionist US, an aggressive expansionist US, Russian president praising their boy in the White House.
You know, like the BBC had to wipe over the old Doctor Who tapes, and NASA wiped over the old moon landing tape, right? Do you know why that happened? Because they didn't have enough storage space. These people who vote for these motherfuckers, they don't have enough storage space. So you can tell them that back in the day, that the Russians were the bad guys, but they can't remember it. The hard drive's full. They just can't. They can't access.
That's not why the BBC did over the tapes.
Well, it's because it's really expensive to get new tapes.
Wasn't it? Was because of an agreement with unions.
That was to do with the destruction of the films, and that's why there shouldn't be any copies of it around the world, around the Commonwealth. But there are, and that's how they found those episodes in Jos in Nigeria a few years ago, because of the copies. But you're right, the copies of the digital version should have stayed, or it wasn't digital, was it? But the tape version should have stayed with the BBC. They should have kept the reason it did that.
Is because back in the 60s, and they didn't understand television, and a lot of BBC employees were worried that as soon as they had enough programs, they would make no new programs, and they would just show endless repeats, reruns. Crazy. So they had to sort of promise that couldn't, and the best way to promise it was to destroy them.
Was to destroy all the films that went out, but they were allowed to keep a master copy of it, but they weren't allowed to show it, you're right. And because the first episode of Doctor Who happened on the day that JFK got shot and no one watched it,
do it again.
They had to do it again, and they literally didn't show the same episode again. They redid the whole thing, because they used to perform it live. It wasn't pre-recorded or anything. It was all done live in the studio at the time, broadcast. Absolutely amazing. So it was like theatre, but with Daleks and shit. But yeah, that whole thing is quite fascinating. But yeah, anyway, these people who vote Republican, they can't remember that we used to be at war with the Russians. They don't remember that. They remember the Cold War. Wow. All the things that happened in their childhood was amazing and wonderful, and they worked so much harder than everyone
top else. Of the Republican Party do remember it. They're all old now. Have you seen them?
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. Their head's full. They can't remember anything. They can't remember what they had for breakfast, mate. Never mind what they were doing in 1985.
They had live puppies for breakfast, like they do every day.
Live puppies, children's tears. Yeah. So the other thing I want to talk about, which is coming back onto Putin and calling us the enemy. But before we do, I just want to. We had an agreement here from Sonic Shadow saying I'm 15 minutes behind, but I want to chime in because I had to clean theatre toilets in the past. Women's were always far worse, as Graham said. Men, bit of piss, get the mop. Women's, blood, shit, food wrappers, tissue. And if you had a hard floor and the tissue was on the floor, it would often just stick and it'd become like glue. So you'd really have to scrub to get the fucking tissue off the fucking ground. So yeah, women's toilets way worse to clean. Anyway, so yeah, just to talk about the fact that Labour have announced that they're going to have an inquiry. I'm guessing it's going to be a bit of a cursory inquiry, but because they want to wrap it up by April next year. But into foreign interference in our politics. Hurrah! Let's do the confetti again. You're going to do the confetti again? Yay! I think Nigel Farage is a little bit worried.
Yes,
because tiny bit worried.
Because you've got to think about what it is. First of all, it's not a big public inquiry. It's 4 months, for goodness sake.
I know.
But think about why it's an independent inquiry, why it's an independent review. It doesn't need to be. All it's for, it's just 4 months. All it's for, and they've said it themselves, It's basically they're bringing out the elections bill next year. That's going to include a section on, like foreign donation stuff like that, right? So this review is obviously just designed to. It says what it does. What it says on the tin. It's designed to identify where our vulnerabilities are
Yeah.
and recommendations to cover them, which will go into the elections bill. So why does it need to be independent? Right? I will tell you why it needs to be independent, because they've already been doing the review themselves, right? They announced that they were going to be doing this months ago, over half a year ago, basically. So they've thought to themselves, right, there's some things we need to tackle here, which could look like it's maybe a bit of an attack on Reform UK. So they're farming it out. And then remember, they made a big song and dance about Russ Rycroft fella. He's respected across the political spectrum. They're making it really clear that what he comes back with is not Labour government, it's independent. And the reason they're doing that is because Nigel Farage ain't going to like it. And I'll draw your attention to one thing it says on the government statement, right? One thing it's going to look at, it's going to have a whole list of things it's going to look at. One of them is the way that political parties are constituted and regulated. Now, there's only one political party in this country that is constituted weirdly, isn't there? So that's interesting. They're going to look at how political parties are constituted. Most political parties in this country are constituted fine, they're an issue.
Farage's outfit don't have a constitution. There's no legal mechanism or stated mechanism to get rid of Farage, because it's a private enterprise.
So
a private
I'm thinking
company.
That's going to change.
Yeah.
Now, and you can imagine the fuss that's going to cause. So that's why I think Labour want this to be independent.
Yeah.
They don't need an independent review. It's like it's not a public inquiry. It's not a formal, it's a 4-month thing. They can't do very much in 4 months. So you have to think, why is it independent? It doesn't need to be independent. Labour can just sort of say, we've identified these vulnerabilities, we're going to cover them in the elections bill. It's because there's going to be some backlash. They know that there's things need doing, but they also know it's not just things they want to do, that any reasonable person would also conclude the same. So they're going to give the job to someone who's considered reasonable across the political spectrum.
Yeah.
Someone who works for the Conservatives in government, is an official, a civil servant, but someone who still was appointed by them. So they can't complain. Because what's going to come out of it, I reckon, Nigel Farage ain't going to enjoy.
No. And it does need to be looked at, because we've got the elections bill coming up next year.
That's exactly it.
So that's going to lower the voting age to 16. We know that. Yes. It's got to put limits on how much you can give to a political party. So at the moment, you can give as much as you like to a political party when it's not an election year. That's why Labour should announce an election today, and that'll screw over the refuckers for getting all that free money. Actually, no, that would be a really bad idea. Don't do that, Labour.
Stunningly bad idea.
What? Should we have an election in the middle of winter when we're stunningly unpopular, Phil?
No.
That sounds like a great idea.
Particularly when they've run on a strategy of deliberately doing all the unpopular stuff early in the hope that for the next election, it'll just be the popular stuff and everyone will have forgotten about the unpopular stuff. I mean, their entire strategy, which is not a hopeless strategy, it sort of makes sense. As long as the stuff they've done, the sort of foundations they've built, people see and appreciate. This is where the communications needs to improve. But that they've run on a strategy of knowing that they were going to do unpopular shit.
Yeah.
They didn't think they'd be this unpopular, but they did think they would do unpopular shit.
Do you reckon people can stay angry with Keir Starmer? They can sustain.
No. Again, people just want their standard of living to improve. If they think it's improving, they'll stick. But will they? I mean, that's the question. We know there's stuff coming online. We know that they are going to be tackling energy bills. They've already done it artificially with the budget. There's other things coming online. The best start centres. We know that incomes are going up and all the rest of it. But is there going to be anything that is it reverse frog in a boiling pot?
No.
Is it going to just be every year things are getting better but not noticeably, or is it going to be noticeable to people? Because really it would be a lot better if Labour were pointing these things out to people, but they're not.
No.
Like the rates crashed again early. I've noticed the ad rates crashed again, and that's because they're not making people optimistic. So consumer confidence is still too low. And that's because they keep talking doom and gloom all the bastard time. They should be saying, oh, things are brilliant.
Yeah.
Or if they're not brilliant, they're getting brilliant.
Trump
they're
does
getting to
that.
be brilliant.
Boris Johnson did that when things were fucking awful. He was like, "Well, we're going to give it up." Well, 100,000 people were dying of COVID.
You have to boast. Even if people don't believe things are brilliant right now, so I don't say that, then you just talk about how it's going to be. Like, oh, we've just done this thing, and it's, like you could do it with the Employment Right Bill. We've now got it passed, so now this means you're going to have, you're going to have a great time from next year. Just give people some confidence.
Yeah. It's not rocket science, is it?
You wouldn't have thought so. Like, Labour will always have difficulties when it comes to comms because the established media are owned by billionaires mostly, and they've got a vested interest in the right wing being in power. So Labour will always be skating uphill, but they're making it unnecessarily difficult.
Yeah.
They're like skating uphill while shooting oil in front of them from a water pistol. Is what they're doing.
Yes, but they're making it harder for themselves.
Yes,
it doesn't have to be this hard.
Some things are not
Keir
that
Starmer
difficult.
started his TikTok this week. Did you see this?
Yeah, but he's doing the wrong stuff on it.
I know.
They're still not understanding that you have to stop thinking about the message you want to put. You haven't got an audience, right? So you have to gather an audience. You identify what audience you want to gather on each of these platforms, and then you put content on that they want to watch.
Yeah.
And they're not doing that.
Yes. They'll put adverts for Labour. Why would you want to watch an advert? Adverts are things that you skip.
I just keep saying to them, what you have to do, you have to every day think to yourself, what is it that my audience wants to watch, and do that. And then every now and then you get, my latest video is just bombed because it's one I wanted to do, right? Because every now and then you indulge yourself, you go, okay, so I want to put this message out, so I'm going to do this. And it will then be watched by a lot more than when but they're just putting message after message. They're just putting out, this is what we want the public to hear, but you haven't gathered the public together yet.
Yeah.
You haven't gathered. It's like, imagine if you were advertising a market or some fair or something like locally, some event, and the way you build it was come to the local park at 12 noon and give us all your money. And it's like, well, what? You've got to sell it. You've got to say, what do they get out of it? Labour are not even thinking of that. Apparently, they've hired consultants, someone told me. So these are people who are claiming to understand social media. And it's like, they're not. They're shite. Get rid of them.
So the latest video on the Labour UK at Labour Party YouTube channel, 60,000 subscribers, which is embarrassingly few people to be subscribed. But then again, you look at the content and the latest thing here. Watch Rachel Reeves answers your questions on the budget.
The thing is, right, so they've been doing these things. They have been doing these, getting Labour MMPs and ministers and stuff.
529 views.
But yeah, the problem is those videos are actually fine. The problem is that that's not what gathers people to them. So it's a message video. That video would get tens of thousands if their YouTube channel mostly put out content designed to attract the type of audience that they want. But because they haven't, because they're only putting that content out, it gets a few hundred.
Yeah.
Like, the video I did yesterday, if I did that on a brand new channel, it would have got also maybe a couple of hundred. It will end up getting like 20,000. It might not even get that, might get 15,000. Those are my messages. Those are the ones that I know aren't going to pull people in. People aren't going to click on it much other than my dedicated audience. But because I put stuff out that they like, they will sort of indulge me with the messages I want to put out as well. And someone's actually said it was a really good video, but that's not the majority opinion. And they have to understand that no one wants this. All of this content they're putting out is what they want the public to hear.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Even their page is just shit. It's got the shorts at the top, one of which has got 72 views. 72, and that's one of the first videos that you see.
Oh, yeah.
And then they've got Kia at PMQs, which is just an edit, a 1 minute, 43 edit.
You would do those,
and then
but again,
and then videos. It's just videos. It's not a section. It's not a type. It's not a podcast. It's not a group of videos that you're doing a theme on. Do you know what I mean? It should be like health, welfare, education. It should be.
People are only going to scroll so far down. There's no point in having those. But I would say, yeah, The shorts is not, it's not, they're not good. If they were brilliant, if they get loads of views, sure, put the shorts at the top, but they're not. The Kia PMQs, like, I don't actually know how they've ordered them because the first one, I think, is 2 months ago, but then there's one from 1 month ago, 1 month ago. Where's yesterday's? Or Wednesday's rather, this week's. But yeah. But some of the content is okay if it was just like their 5%. Where's the 95% of engagement? There's no engagement content.
Yeah.
Every now and then they get something that goes a bit viral and then they stick it on YouTube. But it was designed for a different platform.
Yeah.
You know, where's the, I mean, if I just look, I mean, they haven't had, right. Okay, they've done a celebratory what past Labour governments have done a year ago, 62,000 views. Farage doesn't want you to see this. Okay, good hook. 15,000 views. That's
the
not bad
most
for
watched
them.
video by a mile.
Yeah, but that's their third most popular ever.
It doesn't have anything about Labour in the title or in the thumbnail. It's got Keir Starmer, but it's mostly pictures of Farage.
But I mean, it's shit. Like their most popular videos. Obviously, they did get rid of some of the older stuff, right? As you
finally
told them to.
Bloody
So
hell,
161,000 views. That's from 2 years ago. So that's like pre-election. Then 1 year ago, 62,000 views, but that's again what past Labour governments have done. And then 15,000 views, the third most popular one. It's absolutely god awful.
You've got 4 times as many subscribers as them, nearly.
Yeah, but also like, you know, just their views are report 15,000. Right. For me, if I get a video that gets 15,000 views, I think to myself, either that's a video I really wanted to do and I'll take it, or I think I should never have done that video because that's disastrous.
Yeah.
If it's a video I didn't absolutely desperately want to do, it's a failure for me, 15,000.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I don't know why they've got such low standards when it comes to communications. I don't know why
we can talk about their comms till we're blue in the face, but you know that they're not going to improve them anytime soon, I don't think. Ivan, thank you very much for the £20 super chat. It's very kind of you. Apologies for my absence on both your channels lately. There's been a lot of heavy and dark content recently, so I've had to protect my mental health and well-being. Merry Christmas to you both and a Happy New Year. Oh, thanks, Ivan. And
I did read that thing, by the way. I've read the debate.
Yes.
Debate. It's quite interesting because I'll tell you what the best part of it was for me.
Well, should we explain this to people who might not know what we're talking about? Ivan got onto his MP, who then pushed for a debate in Parliament, which happened in the Westminster Hall, about the treatment of people who are autistic during the pandemic and putting things in place so that doesn't happen again because the needs of autistic people were not met and people with other mental health
all
issues.
Sorts of things, all sorts of issues.
Anyway, go on, sorry.
But the most interesting part of the whole debate wasn't specifically about autistic people, but it was an indication that Labour are actively now working on pandemic responses. Because I was worrying that, you know, they were going to wait for the inquiry and then put in a few recommendations, stuff like that. I'm thinking, well, what if we have a pandemic really quite quickly? Because we're going to struggle because not only do the Conservatives leave us nothing, it's not even like they had to build up some systems in a rush, but we've still at least now got them. We haven't. Yeah. Everything we haven't got anything. There's no legacy from a few years ago that's of any use to us. And also we're now going to have less public compliance if the government say we need to do so. Because remember, you know, one thing that comes out of the inquiry is we didn't need to have lockdowns at all. They're not saying at the time the lockdowns were ordered we shouldn't have had them. What they're saying is if you'd have done things vaguely right from the start, we wouldn't have needed them, or we probably wouldn't have needed them, and they certainly wouldn't have needed to be as long. So but they still would have needed some change in behaviour from the public. So Labour, if we had a pandemic really quite quickly again, or still not got rid of the last one, but you know, in terms of it's no longer classed as a pandemic. So if we were to sort of say, look, we can avoid lockdowns, but we need people to do this, a lot of people won't. So they're going to have to come up with plans that accept the fact that trust is too low for people to do what the government tell them to.
Wow, that is damning, isn't it? That is a damning legacy of the Tory fucking shite that we had to put up with for 14
but,
years.
But nonetheless, it was
Jesus.
what came out of that debate is
So
that Labour are actively working on it.
Yeah.
So they're not waiting for anything. They carried out, and I didn't realise this, they carried out something called Exercise Pegasus, which is like another big pandemic preparedness exercise. And they're now going through it and putting things in place. And I did have to, when I heard about that, I did have to think to myself, why do we have to name these things after white flying things? The Tories one was Operation Cygnus, which is Latin for swan.
Yeah. Don't know, white flying things.
Next one will be exercise
bird
duck,
flu.
It?
Horse flu. Phil, before we go on, just want to say that we've got 10 minutes to get another super chat in, and then we'll launch the confetti, although I've already done it twice on this show already. So if you want to launch some confetti and make Diz very happy, and me, you got 10 minutes to drop that in. But yeah, Phil, I wanted to ask you, because you just put in our chat about how can anyone watch 50 TV shows in a year? That's ridiculous. For the Guardian's
it's
top
worse
50
than that.
Shows.
No, they didn't. If you're going to do a top 50 TV shows for 2025, you've had to have watched more than 50. How can you have a top 50 if you only watched 50? You have to have watched at least 100 TV shows.
Well, couldn't it be that everyone at the Guardian gets to vote, and these are the top 50 that came out in the vote?
Still a lot of television to watch. But even then, how do you do that? How does that work?
You just asked them, you say, give us your top 10.
No, your top 10. But here's the thing, right? I'm going to say you cannot reasonably have a top 50 anything if you haven't watched at least 100 TV shows. That's 2 TV shows a week.
Yeah,
people watch too much telly. Even when I used to watch telly, I never used to watch enough to have a top 50.
When I go to bed, I just get my laptop out and I watch something on double speed with the subtitles on. There you go, done. Do an entire season in a couple of hours. But yeah, that's not what I want to ask about. I want to ask about talking of watching things on the telly box. The Oscars is going to be on YouTube in the future, by the way. Liz Truss's show. Have you watched Liz Truss's show?
I tried watching a few minutes. It's like Trump, but less entertaining.
It's like, she's just, there's something really uncanny valley about her. It's like an AI. Like maybe she's not real. Maybe she's not real.
She's not really.
She just dreams of being a real girl, like a female Pinocchio. I don't know.
But she's been backed by, I mean, you've got like, she had Steve Bannon. This John Solomon is a big, is big in America, and she's working with him. He was on her show, so he will be plugging her stuff. I mean, it's not really getting views at the moment. The first one, where it was like an hour late, it's got like 81,000 views. None of the others have.
Yeah.
Like, she's got the Liz Truss show extra with John Solomon, 8.6 thousand. Liz Truss extra with Steve Bannon, 8.4 thousand. Britain's free speech crisis, 20,000. The Liz Truss, another extra with Harry Cole, 2,000. And her latest one a day ago, extra with Ewan Stewart. I don't even know what that is. Ewan Stewart, 1.9 thousand views. So, she's not really getting loads of views. Yeah. But again, she is being pushed. So who knows what it'll be. You can't obviously judge a channel after it's only been out for a couple of weeks, but
yeah. So the other big Labour win this week, as far as I'm concerned, we've got 10 minutes left. Erasmus, we're going back into Erasmus. Yay! Should we release the confetti again? Yeah, let's do it. Erasmus! Woo! Yay! So 2027. So that's just in a year's time.
Yeah, I thought they were talking about actually starting it as early as next year. But I also know the new funding cycle doesn't begin until 2027. So I'm guessing there was some wranglings over that, and then they just thought, sod it, let's just start it in 2027.
The Mail were like, oh my God, this is going to cost the taxpayer £6 billion. And then not to be outdone, the Telegraph on the same morning ran the headline that it was going to cost £8 billion. So what is it, Phil? Is it 6 or 8 billion that it's going to cost us to invite people from other countries to come here and study and spend money?
It makes money. Actually makes money. Just like our EU membership made money.
£2 billion a week. And now we're losing that.
Yeah.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
£2 billion a week.
It's more now. We're now. That's, that latest American report basically says we're losing $4 billion a week.
Yeah,
just
it's
because of
200
Brexit.
million. Yeah.
90
million.
billion,
90 million that should be
that's just
90
the treasury,
billion
but the whole economy is losing over 200 billion a year.
Yeah.
As this year, in terms of this year's money. So that's like 4 billion a week.
And it's just getting worse all the time. Yeah, we slammed ourselves into first gear, and trundling down the motorway, the economic highway at 100 miles an hour, and then we just slammed into first gear for some reason.
I had a friend. I told you, didn't I? One time, I had a drunk friend once when I was young. I was designated driver, and he kept taking my car out of gear when I was driving on the dual carriageway. So the way I had to deal with it was twofold. First of all, it was an Escort, Ford Escort, so I had a sunroof. So I opened the sunroof and let him stand out of it, shouting advice to people in the street. And then at the end of the night, when he got out, I ran him over.
Oh, excellent. Is he dead?
No, he's fine. Well, he's not fine. He's got long COVID, but that wasn't my fault.
Not from the accident then. Sphere Lance, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. When's Liz Truss interviewing a lettuce? We could do that, couldn't we? We could have it where we take her footage of her looking like an idiot.
Exactly.
And then just cut it between her and a lettuce.
And do you know what you could actually do these days? It might be unpopular. You could get an AI lettuce avatar just speaking her lines.
Yeah. Yes. So we've got 5 minutes now for one more. Just one. Come on, it's Christmas. Super chat, and we will get confetti, although I've released the confetti cannon 3 times in this show. But there's been a lot to celebrate. I mean, this is what I mean. There's been quite a few Labour wins this week, and quite a few things they've gone. I've seen them do it and gone, oh yeah, that's cool. But again, it's not really cutting through to your average
because
voter.
Explain it to people. They have this idea. Oh, this quaint idea. Oh, the media will report it. The media hate you, mate. They're not going to report it if it's positive. I don't. Do you think I would report if Reform UK did something good? I mean, I haven't done as yet, so I've not been deliberately. But I don't make any doubt the fact that I don't want to promote anything that they do that's good.
It's like in a fantasy film or TV show or whatever, where they have like the person who doesn't speak the same language and they have a translator, and the translator's just making shit up that they're not actually saying. Yeah. No, I don't do it. Talk to me with my translator. Tell them that we agree to everything they want. And the translator says, he says you are all a bunch of motherless fuckwits. And it's like, that's not what he. that's our newspapers filtering through what Labour are trying to say.
So that's why they should. That's why that's why I like this new lobbying thing. Except they're still going to get their briefings. It's just they're not going to get them twice a day. They don't need them twice a day, right? If they forgot a question in the morning, ask it the next bloody day. Yeah. But I just think, they're not doing you any favors anyway. If they're not bothering to report on what you're telling them, what's the point of talking to them? The whole point of a journalist is to write it in a journal. Yeah. And so that people can read it. So that I would be taking the attitude, I wouldn't even be I'd actually set Wes Streeting on them, because Wes Streeting likes picking on people. Send him out and say to them, I would go all Wes Streeting on them. I would say, you don't bloody report on what gets discussed or what's in it for us. If you're not going to tell the public what we say, we might as well invite some people who will. Yeah. Yeah. But the social media's right there, Phil. It's been there for 15 years, longer, 20 years. Well, certainly in terms of people doing the sort of content that, you would say is like the media do, like, social commentary, political commentary, stuff like that. That has certainly been fairly noticeable for 15, I would say 10, 15 years. YouTube became big probably about 15 years ago. It's been going for 20 years, but obviously to begin with, it took some time. But 15 years ago, it was big. Yeah. And people were doing all sorts on it. Yeah. 10 years ago, I would say it was getting really big. That's when it became much easier to actually make a living off YouTube. Yeah. 10 years ago was when it became very easy. When I started traveling, got 500,000 views, but it wasn't monetized, so I got no money for it. Well, yeah. And then I did it for 6 months every week while I was traveling on my shitty laptop, like editing, like what I'd been up to that week. And then after just getting out of jail in Cape Verde, I was told to take them all down by the production company. So when people complain about getting demonetized on YouTube, I'm like, yeah.
Tell me more. Anyway, Saz, thank you very much for the £2 super chat, and for Ivan, thank you very much for the Christmas confetti, which I'm going to explode the confetti cannon because we did it. Yay! Thank you, everyone, for the super chat confetti. We have done it. We've got to the goal, which is awesome. So there you go. Yeah. So like I say, some good things, some bad things. I don't know. I just another week, another mad week. I've completely tried to ignore Trump and everything that's happening over in America because it's just one batshit thing after another.
The Epstein files have got to come out today. So now, obviously, what he's also been doing is saying, "Yeah, I might actually invade Venezuela."
Yeah, like that film Wag the Dog with Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah,
when he does exactly. The president has a sex scandal and then starts a war with another country to deflect attention from said sex scandal.
It's like, yeah, exactly. What's going to replace the Epstein files in the news? It's going to have to be a war, Mr. President. Oh, fuck. Oh, MAGA don't really like that either. Which one will they hate more? Seeing me in the Epstein files or seeing me, like, invade Venezuela? So they've obviously decided invading Venezuela is the least damaging thing for their base.
Yeah. It is.
That'll go badly for them.
Yeah.
It's not a stable country. If you get rid of Maduro, that you will not get. It'll just end up in civil war.
Yeah, that's my real worry.
I don't. I'm not suggesting that Venezuela has been run competently or stable or anything like that. But nonetheless, there is no way. If Trump thinks he can if he's been told by the Republican hawks who are really behind this, if he's been told we just do this, he flees, and then so and so takes over, that doofer that he likes takes over, and it'll all be fine. He's going to be in for a rude awakening.
Yeah. Because the country is really, really divided. You thought our country was divided over Brexit. This is 100 times worse. And you will. I can't guarantee that there will be a civil war, but at least there will be civil disruption.
It will be broken. The country will be broken up into fiefdoms.
Yeah, we can see.
There will be. The Maduro regime is not just Maduro. Even if he fucks off, his regime will control some parts of the country, and there'll be another one will control other parts.
Yeah, and people who like Maduro are pretty fucking fanatical about it. They were about Hugo Chavez as well. They've got that same sort of MAGA cult behind them.
Yeah.
Frank Lamosa, thank you so much, Frank, for £5. Greetings from Japan. I get my fix of UK events while I'm here. Oh, hello, Japan. Are you in the future? Is it tomorrow in Japan yet? That's amazing.
It's nighttime, surely.
It is nighttime in Japan, definitely. I'll buy that for $1. Yeah, it must be about midnight over there, I think. GMT plus 10, I think. Off the top of my head. I don't know. I'm gonna have to check this now. This is my obsessive compulsive disorder coming in. Japan time zone. It's GMT plus 9. 9. So
all right.
So it's 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
I think. If they're not doing daylight savings the other way around. No, they wouldn't do that because they're in the northern hemisphere. So I'll shut up now. But yes, everyone's saying they're just hoping that China does something, some land lease with submarines, says Andy. I one of the things that people aren't talking about, I've talked a lot about the AI bubble looking to burst, but the price of oil is set to just absolutely cave in because it's not America who sets the price of oil. It's Saudi Arabia, and I don't think the American administration understand this. And Saudi Arabia are gearing up for a massive cut of the price of oil because there's a big oil glut at the moment. Because when Trump said drill, 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 they did.
Well, exactly. Well, the other thing as well is like America has now taken over as the biggest oil producer. I mean, there's different types of oil, right? The reason why America wants Venezuela's oil because it produces heavy crude. America produces light crude because of fracking, right? But America is still, in terms of oil producing nations, is now the biggest, and it's producing more than it ever has. So, of course, I mean, what do you think is going to happen? That's why I actually thought, because sometimes you might get confused why he's going on countries to stop buying Russian oil. And it's probably just because he wants to reduce the supply of world oil. And that's the only country he can lean on that doesn't get him a load of shit.
Yeah. But they can only get that heavy oil from Russia, China, Canada.
Venezuela. Iraq has some.
Yeah.
I was looking it up, actually. What's somewhere
but
else?
if they...
Venezuela has shitloads of it.
Yeah. if the arse falls out the price of oil, or they jack it up or whatever they want to do with it, because the Saudis control it, not the Americans. It would be a bit like putting all your eggs in the AI basket when there's two countries that are absolutely critical to the chain of AI infrastructure, one of which is the Netherlands, because they make the machines that make the chips, and the other one is Taiwan, which makes the fucking chips, the vast majority of them. And if they can't get those chips fast enough, and they can't get enough power at the moment for all the chips that they want to put in these really daft AI things. I just watched a Wall Street Journal thing where they were given one of these AI projects gave them a vending machine that was run on AI, and it could order anything to the machine, but it'd have to arrive, and a human would have to put it in the machine. And within about half an hour of it being installed, one of the staff had already convinced it that it was a communist AI, and this was a communist vending machine, and that they should give all the things away for free. And then someone else managed to get it to order 100 PlayStations and 2 bottles of non-kosher wine.
So I was recording last night the Sunday Roast Christmas with like Max and Alex and Madge, right? And what I said, I suddenly had an epiphany, right, about AI. Because you hear about all these, this is what AI is going to do. It's going to make business more productive, so they won't need as many workers, and we're going to end up with massive unemployment, which is entirely possible. It all makes logical sense. But I did identify one small flaw in the logic, which is that businesses are run by fucking idiots, right? Now, let me give you an example. So before the pandemic, so when I first met my wife, so her business, like it's an international business. It's got sites all over Britain as well as the rest of Europe. And sometimes she has to go to a meeting at the other end of the country, like 100 miles away, right? Just for a meeting. And even at the time in 2019, I was saying, why aren't you using video conferencing? That is so inefficient. What the hell is going on? It's just a meeting, right? Do you do anything physical there? No, we just talk. Do it on comms. So then we have the pandemic. All of a sudden, if you say Microsoft Teams to someone, they don't look at you as if you're crazy, right? Everyone knows what it is. Everyone gets used to it because people had to do that. And I thought to myself, businesses are going to now cotton on to how much more efficient it is to connect people at different sites around the country or across a continent or whatever by video conferencing.
Yeah.
And yet, once that's over, they've reverted back to paying out travel expenses and sometimes overnight accommodation expenses and putting on posh buffets and stuff. They've reverted back to that more expensive. And also, when you're traveling there, you're losing a couple of hours each way travel time of productivity, right? So, and I'm thinking, this will be the same with that. Businesses are just fucking idiots, right? Businesses are run by cretins. And so, although it might be possible that AI might at some point be able to produce some tools that will make a business like double its productivity overnight, right? They won't use it because they're too stupid. So I think we may actually be saved from the worst rigors of AI by just human stupidity.
Yeah. Yes. Never fail to people. Incompetence is the key. Ivan, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Employment rights asked, that must be celebrated. No thanks to Tory peers. Yeah, absolutely. And also Miss Paula Thomas, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. Trump will blame all Venezuela problems on Antifa. Yes, he probably almost certainly will.
That's what that will be his next thing next week, won't it? It says, Venezuela, because he won't say why he's hassling Maduro. He just says that Maduro knows what he wants, right? Maduro knows what he wants, but he's not telling. So he'll come out next week, won't he, and say, the CIA have told me that Maduro is shielding Antifa.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, we just got a £20 super chat coming from Goose Springsteen. Thank you very much, Goose. Andrea Egan was recently elected General Secretary of Unison. She promises to end the subservient relationship with Labour. How worried should Labour be of losing the financial support of Unison and other unions in 2026?
Not at all.
I thought it was Unite who wanted also.
No, Unite are always like that, though. Unison's a bit more of a surprise in many ways. But again, not at all. Here's the thing. This is the main thing that's holding us back in democracy. What Labour should be able to do is just ban all large donations and ban all organisations from donating to political parties. That what we need is a publicly funded donation model. In fact, I would actually go so far as to say there's two types of political party, because a political party has to be able to start from scratch and elicit some donations from ordinary people. Just say, okay, you can have no donations from organizations, but you can collect donations from, like, up to a certain amount from people to get yourself started. But as soon as you're above a certain size, you've got enough councillors or MPs or whatever, you've got a certain amount of electoral success, you can then switch to the publicly funded model, which where you'll get funding according to sort of brackets of how well you've done in previous elections. So that's what I would want. The main thing holding it back is the fact that Conservatives and Reform UK would never do it because they think they can attract the big donations.
Yeah.
And Labour would never do it because of the financial ties with unions. It would actually make things, because if they were to do it, it'd be like, great for the unions. Okay, so we can't pay you anything. That's great. But then, so what? But in return for that money, they get like half the votes at Labour conferences. They get quite a lot of say in the running of the Labour Party.
Yeah. The
affiliated unions. So what would the relationship be then? I mean, I would just prefer it if the relationship was that unions are just invited to be in various committees that look at, which is their business, employment law, employment policies. They should just have a say on that. They shouldn't really be as deeply ingrained.
Yeah, they shouldn't really be commenting
just
on
because
foreign
of the money
policy,
thing. It's stopping us. It's stopping us dealing with corrupt donations.
Yeah,
because Labour cannot, in all consciousness, introduce a law that says that all corporate donations are banned completely. All donations above, say, £500 are banned completely. Oh, but not unions, because that would just look as corrupt as fuck. Yeah. And it would be. So not at all worried. If Unison, because the thing is, Unite talk about that all the time, but they don't do it, do they? Because it's like, okay, so if you don't want to pay us, you're not affiliated. So that means you lose all your votes in the Labour Party then. Great.
So you think it's just saber rattling then?
Yes.
Fair enough. We had some other stuff to talk about the local elections next year, which are going to be put off.
At the same, sorry, I'll just say, at the same time, if they want to do it and then take responsibility for Reform UK government, be my guest.
They won't. They'll never take.
Because I would suggest, I would say,
what
of the affiliated unions have got anything to complain about? The only thing they can complain about with Labour, particularly after this week, is this a week? I mean, that's what I would say. Is this a serious union leader that on the same week, the biggest boost to workers' rights for how long? Certainly before I was born, has a pop at Labour. That just doesn't seem to be that doesn't seem to be serious. That seems to be playing to a base to me. So, but if they want to try it, they want to take responsibility for Reform UK and take responsibility for them then repealing all these employment rights laws, then be my guest.
They won't. It's like RMT union is never going to take responsibility for the lack of workers' rights as a result.
But he's got Nigel Farage and people like Boris Johnson have got more. More of a platform than I have, but I can do a video that gets more of a platform than Unison. So I will certainly anyone that actively. I mean, there's a difference, obviously, if you want to try and steer Labour, but where do Unison want to steer Labour better on, given what they've just passed this week? Like, what is their genuine beef, other than the fact that Labour might lose the next election? That would be really bad for unions.
Yeah.
Like, what is their specific beef? Does anyone know? I'm asking a serious question. Does anyone know what her beef is? Because she's the head of a union, a major union. Labour have just passed a load of like huge workers' rights, which is their stock and store. They have no other reason for being. A union has literally no other reason for being. They exist purely to improve working conditions and pay for workers. Nothing else.
Oh, in an ideal world. Oh, hang on. Bruce Springsteen has just dropped another £5 in the Super Chat fund. Thank you very much, Goose. Goose is being very kind. Really glad you've not talked about this before. I woke up 10 minutes ago after a post-night shift major oversleeping. I was rather worried. It's all right, Goose. You can watch it on Catch Up, and everyone can watch it on Catch Up. You can also listen to it on YouTube Music if you want. You can listen to it. It comes out as a podcast, as do all the shows on Politics Social. I'll be back at 9:30 tonight, hopefully, in Liverpool. We're going to Liverpool, moving the kit to Liverpool. And I'll be joined by Mike, Dix, and Scott, and others, I hope. And then Ivan has just dropped another £5 super chat in, which I'll have to announce quickly. Hello. Thank you. Thank you very much, Ivan. That's very kind of you. Darren Jones said the government makes too many announcements. I think it's more the case of they need to make appropriate announcements. Yeah. Well, they leak too much, I'll say. Diz is saying she got kicked out of Labour. So there you go, Phil. That's why she doesn't
kicked
like
out.
She got kicked out of Labour.
How'd you get kicked out of Labour? Did you join another political party?
Probably, I don't know. Maybe she said that she voted for the Lib Dems.
Well, yeah, well,
yeah.
You are allowed to do that. You're just not allowed to say you're not allowed to do it before the election. If you do it after the election, it's fine. Well, it's not fine, but you know what I mean.
Well, if you vote for them after the election, it's fine.
No. Say, like, if you say if you say you're going to vote for the Lib Dems, then you are promoting another party for which you should get kicked out. But if you say you did vote for them in the past, you're not promoting another party during the campaign. So that's perfectly within party rules.
Fair enough. Anyway.
Whereas I won't, because at the next election, I will have to say, in these places, you need to vote for this party. I will have to be much more explicit than I was at the last election, because the vote's way more fragmented. And Labour seem to want to play this game where they say they support first past the post, despite the fact that they officially don't support it. But they say they support first past the post, but they don't support tactical voting, which makes no sense. Yeah. You can't have one without the other, mate. They're two sides of the same coin.
Do you know what octopuses do? Tentacle voting.
Very good.
Thank you. Okay, right. I'm going to leave it at that. If I don't see you before, have a great Christmas, Phil. And hopefully I'll see you again next week. Maybe. Boxing Day. Actually, I'll
no, you won't.
I'm not going to see you on Boxing Day.
I have Christmas Day and Boxing Day off. I have 2 days off a year.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, no, this will be the last one of the year then?
Yeah.
The last agenda. Oh, well, have a great Christmas and New Year, Phil. And if I don't speak to you before, and everyone else in the chat, I will be back for you at 9:30 tonight for the Friday Night Social, the last Friday Night Social before Christmas. So we'll be having festive fun. My auto cue's broken. Anyway, in the meantime, thanks so much for watching. Thanks for the super chats. Really appreciate that. If you haven't already liked this, film, video, live stream, whatever it is, please give us a like. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the bell notification icon. And until next time, I'll say thanks for watching. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.